What up guys, Otterpop here. I am back with another patron request, and it is a reaction, but I thought that this would actually be kind of cool to leave public on my channel because it's another puppet history video. I have come to really appreciate these particular videos and like the format that they have, the creativity that they put into how, you know, the competition between two different people, namely Ryan and some other random individual in which Ryan loses, but I find that very entertaining. But of course there's a lot of history, and I do appreciate learning more about history in terms of what I don't know and what I already know maybe a little bit of. So this is actually going to be reacting to Puppet History's Dancing Plague, which it is something I actually have heard of. I don't know too much about it, but I have heard of it, and I kind of do know bits and pieces. Not as much as maybe, say, so like my Egyptian mythology and Egyptian history. I knew a little bit more there. This I just know, you know, little snippets more than anything. So speaking of patron requests, I'm going to go ahead and pop up the list of current patrons that are currently supporting me. Thank you guys so much. It does mean a lot that you guys are supporting me, you know, outside of YouTube. That's pretty freaking cool. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get into it.
Welcome one and all to Puppet History! Today we'll be taking a deep diving, ever-winding look into yet another chapter in the heavy book we call history, while our guests ruthlessly vie for the coveted title of
this must be
Master.
pre-COVID.
Ryan Vergara, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready as always.
Special
Hi,
guest
Ryan.
Jermaine Fowler, are you ready?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know who he is. Just right into it.
Could I take another guess at your name?
Huh? Sure.
You're the professor?
I'm the professor. Wiggles? Professor Wiggles, not bad. But no!
Professor McNasty.
That's close. That's close. I am a little nasty.
Okay, did
Today,
not need
we'll
to
be
know
talking
that.
about a city on the brink and their very strange coping methods. You guys ever been pushed to the brink?
Sure.
Huh?
I don't think I have yet.
Has
I'm
the
waiting.
universe
I don't
ever
know.
just challenged you?
Yes, yes.
maybe?
The universe has challenged me. Yes, Professor McNasty.
Okay. I actually kind of like the ring of that. And would you guys like to know what we're competing for?
Yes.
Yeah. What are we competing for?
Jelly
It is
beans.
the coveted cup of the History Master. Ignore the hand.
Whose hand is that,
Huh?
Professor?
It's God.
God's a white man.
Oh, I mean, it's the devil.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's up. You know your audience.
Well,
Yep.
in the Alsace region of Europe in the early 1500s, it's very safe to say that people were stressed, cosmically stressed. See, these were a people only a few generations removed from the mass devastation of the bubonic plague.
Yep.
It's easy to imagine that the sheer trauma
Yep.
of experiencing a borderline biblical event could imbue a few generations with an all-enveloping sense of existential dread.
Well, and it wasn't even just that too, but the sort of terrors and horrors associated with the bubonic plague lasted decades. I mean, the height of it was a period of about like 8 to 12 years, I want to say, but there were plenty of years before and after where it was still going on, and it took out like a third of the population of Europe. It was nasty. Imagine if something like that came into our world today. And technically not COVID, because while it is widespread, it's not nearly as fatal, not even close. In terms of the percentages, I'm purely speaking statistics here. The population of Europe back then was maybe a tenth of what it was now. So, and that was like, was the Black Plague, was that, was that like the 1300s or the 1400s? I'm suddenly forgetting dates. But yeah, we're only talking like hundreds of thousands. And actually, no, there may have been quite a few million people back then in Europe. But again, a third of the population was taken out. And we now have billions of people on the planet, and in Europe alone, that's maybe like a quarter? No, I don't even know about a quarter. I actually don't know about current active statistics, but maybe like a quarter, a little bit less of the entire human population is in Europe? Question mark? You know what? Let's nip it in the bud. I'm actually a little curious. Oh, that's actually smaller than I expected. So there are not quite 8 billion people on this planet, and the population of Europe, at least according to the immediate result that I got, was about 750 million people. So that's, oh wow, that's not a quarter. That's closer to probably like a tenth, not even. of the world population. So in a time where there were only millions of people and a third of them got taken out, imagine if something like the bubonic plague came back. We're talking deaths in the tens and very easily hundreds of millions just in Europe alone. If we're talking worldwide, I mean, we're talking like at least 1 billion people. And that's just insane to think about. I think I got a little bit off topic, but you know, I'm sorry, but the Black Plague itself is very fascinating to me. Or the time of the Middle Ages, like not a specific part of the Middle Ages, but the early, the middle, and the late Middle Ages. There are certainly interesting things about society when it came to all three of those periods, especially in various parts of Europe. But yeah, the Black Plague was definitely nasty, and it definitely caused a lot of mass hysteria even afterwards. There were still a lot of people that either remembered it or were recent enough to have heard, you know, nasty stories. So understandably, there was a lot of fear that was plaguing, no pun intended, the entirety of Europe, really. Well, and something else to think about as well is that religion was kind of at its height back in the day. Well, I won't say it was necessarily like, you know, religion was strongest during the Middle Ages, but there were certainly high points of all different kinds of religions, and religion was definitely at a height in the Middle Ages. And if something like this happened, where every third person around you was basically dying and showing these strange symptoms, you would definitely have the fear of God put in you, if you didn't already. Like, again, the fear was huge back then, whether there were religious undertones or not. That's not really the word that I'm looking for. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, but I hope you get the point. I'm trying to make a crowd come across. Continue.
Are any of the stories that you're going to tell, is it one of them at least not going to be a bummer, or are they all going to be bummers?
No, they're all pretty sad. History is a sad thing.
I mean, yeah.
You're probably right.
There's some like happy historical events, like the day peanut butter was invented.
Oh,
things like
well,
that.
I would say that, you know, when I first saw Lion King, you know,
That was good.
That was good
Oh
too.
my God.
So considering all that, the city of
Okay.
Strasbourg seemed like a prime candidate for ground zero of the impending apocalypse. See, the common folk of Strasbourg, in addition to all the struggles of just surviving in the 1500s, found themselves dealing with an
1500s.
increasingly problematic clergy. Author John Waller says, quote,
Lovely.
monks and priests shamelessly took concubines and all had greater appetites for meat, drink, and sleep than for prayer or pastoral duties. Can't fault them for that, you know what I'm saying?
I guess even clergymen have to get the. I kind of want to say that. That's so crass.
No, say it.
Yeah, they got sometimes clergymen got to get.
Okay, no, that was too crass. That's disgusting.
It's pretty.
What is
gross.
wrong with you? People were not stoked about this because these holy folk are supposed to be their direct line to God. One
Right.
guy was so fired up that he went poking around various local holy houses to see how much meat and booze they'd been hoarding.
Oh, boy.
And he found plenty of dirt, but eventually gave up his investigation. Oh, that red light means we're at our first question. Why do you think he stopped his little investigation? A, they paid him off in barrels of barley wine.
That's possible.
B, a nun blackmailed him. Or C,
maybe.
a monk threatened to murder him.
Ooh, those are all good ones.
All right, Ryan, are you locked in?
I'm locked.
I'm gonna
in.
go with
What'd you put
A.
down?
I put C.
You think a monk threatened to murder him?
I don't think that's what happened, but it is the funniest outcome. So
Sure.
that's how
I
I've been
mean,
playing this
kind
game
of,
so far.
yes, unfortunately.
Jermaine?
I chose B,
You chose
nun
B.
blackmail.
With a happy face.
Yeah.
A little happy face.
You know, a nun and blackmailing you just seems insane.
It does-
I
it
always
does
go with
seem
the crazy
insane, that's
multiple
true.
choice Question.
But
All
a
right.
monk threatening to murder someone isn't crazier?
Well, let's find out.
That's ought to be interesting. Oh,
You need help with
No, everything's fine.
that was fun.
Is that the monk?
That's the monk.
Oh, hey, Brother Thomas. Ah, my brother. Wonderful to see you. What brings your wonderful soul to the house of Sorry, fuck. What brings your beautiful soul to the house of His Holiness today? I saw something kind of weird recently. I could have sworn I saw someone wheeling barrels of ale into the church, but that couldn't be right. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that because I saw something weird today too. I saw a dead man walking. Huh? How'd you like to be dead? Whoa. Let's just let you know about some. I thought it seemed like maybe
Ryan
some
was
illicit
right.
activity, and I'm just letting you know that if you mention those barrels to anybody else, you'll end up in one.
Oh, shit.
Damn.
He Walter Whited him.
May peace be with you.
So damn, he just shook knighted
He Suge Knighted him. Yeah,
the
that's
random dude.
It seems like Ryan gets a history point there. Congrats, Ryan.
Nice.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm a good sport.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
job.
You. Thank you.
It is unfortunate. I'm gonna start this off weird, but please just let me explain. Religion and faith is such a big part of so many people's lives. And I never really cared much for religion for the longest time. I didn't even really care to learn about religions for the longest time because, you know, reasons. I was naive. That's probably the biggest reason right there. But I will admit to, in some more recent years, taking up something of an interest, I guess, in religions, especially because, well, I'm a fiction writer, and, you know, I can't just have all my characters being morally ambiguous, or, you know, this specific religion that I only know bits and pieces about, or not even being religious at all, and it doesn't even matter necessarily. But I thought that it would be important for some of the characters that were a little bit different. So I've studied up on some things, you know, Christianity, Catholicism, Hinduism, Judaism, and funny enough, some of my boyfriend's family are actually Jewish, so I've learned a little bit more about that as well. I actually spent a Hanukkah with him and his family. My sister and I spent Hanukkah with him and his family last year. That was kind of fun, you know, learning. And they're not like strictly Jewish, of course, but they do, like, you know, follow some of the traditions, and they do engage in, like, you know, certain, you know, games and activities and stuff like that. So it was interesting to learn about. But back on track, I have been learning a little bit more about some religions over the years, and I mean, I've mostly noticed it with, like, you know, Christianity and Catholicism, but there was a lot of, I guess you could say, corruption that was going on for so many different time periods in so many different places, from, you know, time periods like this to, you know, Henry VIII. There is just so much corruption that seems to be going on with either the church or the clergy, and that's not to say that it's the entire system necessarily. It's just a few bad apples, although in some cases it seems like there's more than just a few bad apples. It's really interesting to know about because of how important religion and faith is to people, and was to people for so long. I feel like it's a little bit more diverse, and maybe not quite as important, or at least not as important in the same way nowadays. But back then, hugely important to everybody. You know, there are many human flaws, but the desire for greed and power, it's something that's been happening with humankind for centuries. Probably a few millennia as well, based on, you know, some of the history that we do know. I mean, I don't know how much of it there was during mankind's earlier years, like, you know, 5, 10, 15,000 years ago. But it's definitely become, well, I can't say more prominent because we technically don't really know for sure if it was the same even further back. But it's definitely something that has repeated throughout humankind since written history first came to be. I don't know why people desire and are greedy for power and will often abuse it. I'd say it's human nature, but at this point it sometimes doesn't even fully make sense. It really doesn't. I mean, having the sort of ability to influence other individuals and having some kind of superiority over them, maybe way back in the day that could have made a little more sense. I can't really explain why. It's just how it kind of goes in my head, I think. But nowadays, people still do it, and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but I don't know.
Seems like Ryan gets a history point there. Congrats, Ryan.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm a good sport.
Thank you.
Good
thank
job.
You, thank you.
Driving an
Is
even
Ryan
greater
a good
wedge between
sport?
the classes, the clergy and lords had been hiking up taxes for years, and according to Waller, quote, peasants were forbidden from grazing pigs on common pasture, from fishing in local pools and streams, and from entering the forest to gather timber for building and fuel, to hunt game, even to pick acorns or berries. And that's some bullshit!
Yeah.
You seem passionate about this.
Why don't you take it easy, man?
Well,
Yeah.
I
I mean-
you want to go out there and pick some acorns and berries?
It's okay. It was a long time ago. It's over now. Your eyes got bigger.
I know.
What's in your bag?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know? Why don't you come check it out?
I feel like it's a trap.
Come on, open my little bag.
Like the start of a horror movie.
No, come on here.
Don't
come
say
on.
that. Open my little bag. It's
Open my
not gonna
little
make me
bag.
feel
Open your
comfortable.
bag.
That does sound a little.
Take one out.
Okay.
Is it a jelly bean?
Jelly bean.
That's right.
Shocker.
Just for you.
You put props in the. You put so much thought in the carrot. You put jelly beans.
It's a jelly bean.
Those are my special treats.
Actually, you know what? I'll take a jelly bean
Oh,
too.
go for it.
Yeah.
Watch, there's only
I do
one.
love jelly beans.
Oh no, there's a
All this
bunch.
bullshit.
I could hear
the
it.
region had been through a pretty rough couple decades. We're gonna run through this really quick, but every time I turn the light purple like this,
Oh.
I need you guys to shout, "All the crops died."
Okay. we
Just
can do
like that.
All the crops died.
Great. So here we go.
In 1492, there was a famine because
All the crops died.
in 1493, crops weren't half bad. But then everybody got syphilis and a bunch of people's skin fell off.
Oh my God.
Baller.
As they rounded the year
syphilis.
1500, things leveled out for a few years. The crops were good for a bit. And then,
All the crops died.
This is
7
amazing.
hail the size of apples pummeled the town.
Jeez.
Whoa.
How big were they? Really the size of apples, or is that?
it
a
was
little
the
bit
size of apples! And because of the hail,
All the crops died.
Oh my
then the
gosh.
bubonic plague staged a brief reunion tour.
And was mercifully stamped out by the bitter winter of 1511. But also,
All the crops died.
And then again
my
in the bitter
God.
winter of 1514,
All the crops
died.
Oh, we were on the same page.
Oh
there.
wow,
We
that
really
was
switched it up.
pretty impressive.
followed
Like
by
me
a
and my
summertime
sister.
drought in the summer of 1516 when, one last time with gusto,
All the crops died.
I guess that's gusto. So that's a solid
Okay.
2 decades of ever-mounting anxiety. Scores of people are struggling to make ends meet,
Yep.
falling deeper and deeper into debt, all
Yep.
the while starving, several to death. Could this have a toll on the general population's mental health? Well, sure. What concerning things started to happen? A. People began to see the dead walk the earth. B.
I already
People
know.
began
Yeah.
burying themselves alive. Or C. People began eating dirt until they died.
So it all death related.
Yeah.
It could be
What was
A.
A again?
People began to see the dead walk the earth.
I've heard things like that.
Yeah,
by the way.
that's crazy. So like ghosts.
Yeah.
Ghouls.
Ghoul.
I don't know about that.
Ooh. Buy me a Coke. All right, Ryan, what do you got?
You
You're
say
I'm
A.
gonna go with C.
gonna go with C.
People eating dirt until they died. Kind of similar to those people that danced till they
Reminds
died.
me
in
of that
France.
Hansel and Gretel movie in recent years. I missed something.
Yeah,
Wait.
I've heard of them. All right, Ryan, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with C.
You're gonna go with C.
People eating dirt until they died. Kind of similar to those people that danced till they died in France.
Oh, that's what he said.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them. Jermaine, what are you going with?
I just feel like there should be like an all the above option because it just feels like all those things would have happened. But if I had to
Wow.
pick,
Oh my God.
I'm going with A.
Well, that's a point for Jermaine.
Boom.
Yes, that's right. I'm a
That's
history
right.
buff.
So Waller describes, quote, thousands imagined their dead relations to have escaped from purgatory, running and
Jeez.
screaming to the music of drum and pipe. Many of those killed in battle were reported to be carrying their bloodied and mutilated limbs.
Oh.
one woman was stricken with terror after having seen, quote, the ghost of her dead soldier husband clutching between bloody hands his own severed head.
Jeez.
Jesus Christ. And these were all visions.
Yes, these are all visions.
But no one ate dirt, right?
No one ate dirt, though that is a thing. That is a method of suicide. It's like a weird ancient thing. They would eat dirt until they died.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
If you thought all that was bad, welcome to 1517, which they
Oh, boy.
depressingly and hilariously called the Bad Year, which would play out like a greatest hits compilation of the previous
Wow.
decades. More frozen crops, more hail, some smallpox, some leprosy, and a fun new disease. Guess what this new disease is called? A, the English sweat. B, Lucifer's indulgence. Or C, horsebite flu.
I'm gonna go with B.
English sweat.
All right, Ryan, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with B.
Yeah.
You're gonna go with B, Lucifer's indulgence.
Lucifer's Indulgence
Yeah.
sounds great. Also sounds like the name of a dope coffee shop in Silver Lake.
Okay, so
What?
A sounded like a nice tea.
A
was
tea
it?
called English Sweat.
English sweat. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
And B sounded like some incense.
Yeah.
So I chose
No,
Well,
let's
that's
see.
lovely. What is that?
Lucifer's
I
indulgence.
chose C, but then
chose C.
I did a D, or butt meets delight.
Put me
know,
still
Butt Meets Delight?
Butt meets
You know what?
It's a pirate.
You know what? I'm going to give you an extra point for Butt Meets Delight.
Hey, wait a second.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait a second. You can't do that.
Well, you've never taken the initiative, Ryan.
Because I was playing by the rules. I didn't realize it was the fucking Wild West out
Well, maybe
here.
have a little fun with it every now and then.
Yeah,
You do have a
Ryan.
satchel full of
I
jelly
reward
beans.
creativity. And I'm also giving that point out because neither of you got it right. It was called the English sweat. So
Really?
yeah, it was just a disease where you'd sweat for several days until you died.
What were the symptoms?
You'd sweat a lot. You just kept sweating.
How long did they sweat?
Oh,
A few days.
dehydration.
Okay, moving along.
Much?
Whoa, what the? Yeah, that's right. It's me, that big pile of diamonds. That's my catchphrase now, I think.
Yeah, but we're in the middle of a story here.
Well, I'm here with a word from our sponsor. Rent on this puppet theater isn't free,
Oh.
you know. While you've got your fuzzy ass nose in a book, I'm over here keeping the lights on, baby.
Fine, take it away. The floor is yours. Talk about bed sheets or whatever.
Is he gonna break into
Bedsheets,
song?
Cut me some slack, bro. Today's episode is brought to you by Mischief.
Wait, like the
What?
concept of mischief?
Yeah, the country. No, you idiot. Mischief. MSCHF. Mischief is a Brooklyn-based company that releases mysterious, cool stuff in
What?
the form of drops every 2 weeks.
What?
I'm listening.
Sometimes the drops are limited edition items, like these Jesus shoes filled with
Okay,
holy
so
water
clothing,
from the
basically.
River Jordan that my
Meh.
friend Drake was seen sporting.
Wait, are you friends with Drake?
Yeah, my sister-in-law Jemberly is an anklet of his. We hang out on Boxing Day.
Okay.
Is he cool?
Yeah. Or sometimes the drops are free things, like a font that looks like Times New Roman, except it's slightly wider,
that's
so your
random.
written assignments look longer than they actually are.
Not sure I approve of that.
Deal with it, nerd. Or it might be something that just kicks ass, like when they posted live streams of Netflix, HBO, Prime, Hulu, and Disney Plus on a site for anyone to watch. No two drops are ever the same.
Oh,
So if
damn.
you want early access to all this nutty stuff, head over to mischief.com/watcher and download the app today. It helps keep us puppets alive.
Well, thank you, Diamond Necklace.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me. I'm
Yeah,
that
no,
big pile of
no, we know.
diamonds.
No, you don't need to sing.
Yeah,
No,
you
no,
did.
no.
You made him
You-
look like a
you-
fool.
no,
Well, I
no.
gotta finish this story
And
now.
Oh, okay, bye.
Okay, where were we? Ah, yes. Now, keeping in mind the seemingly never-ending maelstrom of suffering, of mass anxiety and prolonged trauma, let's set our sights on July 14th, summertime, 1518,
No,
when
summer,
a woman
lovely.
known as Frau Troffe was no longer content to sit idly by as the cruel hand of fate continued to give her community the finger. What did she What did
Oh
she
my God.
do? And this is a free write.
Basically, whoever gets closer.
Yeah, I'll give a point to whoever's answer I like best.
Dance till
All
she
right, Ryan, What do you
died.
got?
I think she covered herself in gasoline and ran through the town naked ablaze.
Okay.
All
right.
Okay.
Okay. Jermaine?
God damn, right?
That's right.
I
Yeah.
said she sought out some doctors.
Saw
It's
out some
probably a
doctors.
better call.
I'm going to give the point to Ryan just because
Yay.
it sort of captures the craziness of what is about to happen. Please enjoy this brief scene that will show you all.
Oh, jeez.
I'm predicting that's what's gonna
All
happen.
right, yeah, I guess we could clap for that, yeah.
Oh, wow, what another miserable day in what is basically hell. Frau Troffe walks out onto the street, dazed. Oh, Frau, good morning. You're looking, actually, you're looking pretty awful. You got a case of that, English butt sweat, or?
English. Okay, that's fine.
And Frau begins to dance. And she dances
Nice
and
music.
dances.
I hope we put sound effects over this,
Yeah, I will.
because this looks ridiculous.
Yeah, so she danced, and people probably thought, huh, pretty funny. Good one, Frau.
She danced until she died, or she just danced?
Well, she continued to dance until she passed out from exhaustion, and then she woke up and she started dancing again.
Your eyes are getting more crooked by like the minute. It's so
Are
funny.
they?
Like they're less straight.
This is how they are. I don't say anything funny about your eyes.
You're right, and I apologize. I fucked up. I fucked up hard.
It's fine.
I'm
It's
sorry.
fine.
Are we gonna be okay here? We're gonna.
No, we're good.
I
We're
don't
good.
know.
are?
Yeah, come on,
It's funny
man.
though.
Shake it out. I'm sorry, man.
Shake it
I just
out.
Thought,
Kick it up.
By this point, you can imagine some folks were scratching their heads and tossing off some theories. A common one was that Frau Troffe was doing this to spite her lousy husband, who hated dancing. But that becomes a bit harder to believe when you consider that, according to author Jennifer Wright, quote, by the third day, blood was oozing out of her shoes.
Oh, jeez.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Another common
I knew it
theory
was
that
bad. I didn't
widely
realize it was that
circulated
bad.
was that the poor woman had been the victim of divine wrath. Some suspected God himself.
Satan!
Others pointed to Saint Vitus, a saint known for bringing aid to those with epilepsy, but also inflicting it upon those who angered him.
Oh,
So it stacks up
jeez.
that Frau Troffe
So
would be
double-edged
aware
sword.
of Saint Vitus and his capabilities, as just 30 miles east of Strasbourg, there was a shrine to the saint, which is exactly where she was taken on July 20th, 6 days into her exhausting routine. Now, unfortunately, we don't have
6
any
days,
information
damn.
regarding the fate of Frau Troffe. Hopefully, performing some kind of penitence at the shrine of St. Vitus was enough to free her from this terrifying trance. But what we do know is that by July 21st, just one day after the poor lady was carted off to the shrine, at least 34 more residents of Strasbourg had
Yep.
started dancing.
Yep.
What?
Amazing.
So
Wait a
Mass
second.
hysteria.
Wow.
He's realizing.
Those people that danced till they died in France.
Oh my God. This is the impetus for the people dancing till they died in France.
Yeah, you dipshit.
Holy, fuck you.
Strasbourg is in France.
I never, okay,
Oh.
every
It's
time
weird
I,
it took you this long to figure it out.
well, here's the reason
I
why.
agree.
I thought, for whatever reason, that the dancing till they died plague was like a mass hysteria thing, but I never thought
That's
of
what
it
a lot
as
of
a
people thought.
patient zero scenario.
Yeah.
Well, and he may kind of be right on both counts, because that's what mass hysteria is. Because basically, what mass hysteria is that it's some kind of condition that affects multiple people. Whether it, I mean, more often than not, mass hysteria is associated with either fictitious conditions or illnesses or diseases, or real ones that just cause even more problems than they need to in a large group of people. So the fact that it starts with a patient zero, you know, the initial sort of source of the outbreak, I guess you could say, it usually starts with a single source or like a couple of small sources, and then it starts to spread like wildfire. That's what mass hysteria is. And I mean, given the time period, it's no surprise that people would think that this was what it was. I actually don't know if it was ever determined. I think I know like some of the theories relate to, I mean, obviously mass hysteria, because caused by ridiculous anxiety because of a lot of the bad times that were hitting people in like the 13 to 1500s, especially with the Black Death. I think I remember hearing about another theory or something like that related to like fungus or something like that, which is entirely possible, because here's the thing. If anybody has seen The Last of Us, like like a playthrough of The Last of Us game, or you played it yourself, or you know about it, you know that the main cause of the entire zombie apocalypse is a cordyceps fungus. Now, that is actually very interesting. Fungus are not usually used in zombie outbreaks, whether it's for games, movies, TV shows, stuff like that. It's not usually a fungus that's used. But what some people may or may not know, depending on how much they know about the game, is the fact that the cordyceps is actually based off of a real cordyceps fungus that does have the ability to hijack insect bodies to get them to basically like sort of hijacks their nervous system, I think it is, to get them to climb up to the tallest place possible, and then they basically just explode and spread their spores, and then the process repeats all over again. And that's where the basis of the cordyceps fungus came for The Last of Us. It literally is just a biological organism that will naturally hijack people, and in The Last of Us, it found a way to hijack the brains of human beings. This is actually true with some other, I'm trying to think of specific examples, but I can't actually remember for sure. But there is a specific bacteria or small group of bacteria that do also have the capability of being able to hijack either like the human brain or some part of the nervous system or something along those lines. Wait a minute. I don't think it was bacteria. Wait a minute. No. Oh, no. What is it? Okay, it's not a bacteria, it's not a fungus, not a virus. What are those single-celled organisms called? Holy shnikes. It's gonna give me an aneurysm. Okay. There's a specific single-celled type of organism, Toxoplasmodium, that is known to affect behavior and personality. I'm pretty sure it's one of the most common microscopic parasites out there. And a lot of people are often in contact with it, but as soon as it makes its way to the brain, oh, you are in serious trouble because it can do some damage up there. Some major damage. I don't remember what class of microorganism it is. I'm gonna remember at some point, but I've already been on a bit of a detour for long enough, so I'm I'm gonna get back into this. But yes, I think I was initially talking about fungi and how they can hijack insect bodies. So I think those were the two main theories that kind of really stood out to me, was sort of mass hysteria incident or some kind of fungus related epidemic that suddenly struck people and was basically hijacking their bodies and forcing them to dance to death. Holy moly, if I can't remember what type of organism that Toxoplasmodium was. Toxoplasma? Toxoplasmosis? I'm not remembering the exact name, but I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about.
But I never thought of it as a patient zero scenario.
Yeah. So dancing had officially reached plague status. And as with Frau Troffe, there was nothing joyous about their shuffling, just pure agony. Waller writes, quote, "Chroniclers tell us that those who were momentarily roused from their trances screamed for help from bystanders, God, and the saints."
Damn.
So nothing pleasant about this.
I love it. Have you ever been
Yeah.
trapped in a prison of your own laughter? Where you're laughing
Oh,
and you
yeah.
want to stop laughing, but you can't and it starts to hurt?
Yeah.
It sounds horrifying.
Like the Joker
and
and
awful.
Arkham Asylum. I can imagine that. Yeah.
All right, no, Ryan, stop it. Stop it, please. Oh, I missed it. So what started out as a curious
Nice.
anomaly had now become a bit of a municipal concern.
A
Enough
little
so
bit.
that a council of magistrates thought that they should consult some local physicians. So, what do you think the physicians thought the issue was? A, hot blood. B, excess bile. Or C, a phlegm
I
deficiency.
think it's hot blood,
Those all
actually.
seem very plausible.
Yeah.
This is a tough one.
Phlegm
McNasty.
deficiency. That sounds funny, but I'm pretty sure it was hot
right,
blood.
Ryan.
Yeah, I'm gonna go B for bile.
And Jermaine,
I think it was A, hot blood.
you're gonna go with hot blood.
Yeah.
Blood also is good.
The physician said, quote, "Dance is a natural disease which comes from overheated blood."
No!
Point to Jermaine.
Just goes to show how little that people knew about anatomy and the human body, and even all kinds of aspects of biology for a long time. And granted, there are some things that, especially microscopically, they couldn't see for a long time. I don't remember when the first microscope was invented, but I don't think it was this early on, or if it was, it wasn't really public knowledge, and it wasn't easily accessible. I don't remember when the first microscope came about, but it just goes to show how little they knew about anatomy. Because the normal human temperature is kind of roughly around 98.6. We've known this for a long time. Long time. So yes, our blood may be a little bit warm to the touch, especially if it's been in our bodies for long periods of time. And if blood were to overheat even 10 degrees, and maybe even not necessarily that much, actually. Now that I think about it, no, because normally brain function starts to take a huge hit when your internal temperature rises above even 103 or 104. But I don't actually know the boiling point of blood. I'm a little surprised that I don't know this. Hang on. I know I keep researching, but I am genuinely inherently curious. Boils at approximately the same temperature as distilled water? What? Yeah, that's what I keep getting. 100 degrees Celsius. Really? I wouldn't have guessed. I mean, I suppose that kind of makes sense, because blood cells are actually pretty tough. Also, when I was talking about it's like the brain starts to take a major hit, I don't think that was completely accurate, because I think it's the DNA helix. Oh my gosh, I cannot speak. It's the DNA helix itself. It's the DNA helix itself that can only withstand certain temperatures. Like once I think your internal temperature starts rising to like 110 is when I think DNA itself starts to like unravel or fray. Something along those lines. But it can still cause lots of issues around the brain and all around the body as well. But man, people in the 1500s knew so little. I gotta keep remembering that.
Which comes from overheated blood.
No!
Point to Jermaine.
Yo.
Well, hearing this, the council put their heads together and decided there was only one possible prescription. What was their plan of action? A. Weighing down the feet of the dancers. B. Baptizing the dancers. Or C. More dancing.
Probably not C.
This is a dangerous game you're playing here.
Could be A or B.
All right, Ryan.
I'm gonna go with C, more dancing, just because it doesn't make any sense.
And Jermaine?
Maybe
I
A.
chose B. It felt like at this point the doctors weren't helping.
Sure.
So they brought in maybe some religious people to just,
Leave it to God.
yeah,
I think,
at this
right?
point, that's
I
what you
mean,
do.
Yeah.
true.
That'll sort it out.
True. Sure.
But they
I
didn't
get-
blame God the first time.
That's true.
So fuck.
Right.
I fucked up. I got it
No.
wrong.
Well, point to Ryan. They
Oh,
cleared
good
out
job.
a couple of the local guild halls and an open market area. Even constructed
More
a stage
dancing.
and
Wow.
escorted the afflicted, now numbering over 50, into these designated dancing
Oy
areas.
vey.
And to seal the deal, there was one last touch. They hired a band. Dozens of musicians were hired to play the most. Yeah.
I love his
I got a
laugh,
crazy gig for you,
Jermaine's.
Frank.
Yeah.
Got a crazy gig, all right?
Wow,
we need
that's
it, all right?
such
We
a
need the
genuine
money.
laugh. I love
Council
it.
also employed various unafflicted people to dance alongside the entranced people, encouraging them to keep going. When people passed out,
Jeez.
they were put back on their feet.
Oh
Like a
my
third
gosh.
baseman.
And
Like a third base
up.
coach.
And the musicians upped the tempo.
No! Oh my god, this is amazing.
A month
damn.
into this, August rolls around, the number of dancers continued to grow.
Oh,
probably
jeez.
because it was a psychological virus, and instead of quarantining the thing, they literally put the dancers on a stage for
On
everyone to see.
fucking
It didn't
display.
take long for things to go from strange to dark. Waller points to the records of a neighboring merchant named Lucas Rem, who jotted a note in his diary around the time, quote,
In the year 1518, in summer, lots of people died of the St. Vitus dance in Strasbourg. About 15 people died a day.
Man,
Jeez,
Yeah,
I thought this was gonna have a happy.
I didn't realize it was
I
that
mean,
bad.
this is what happens when you try to put out fire with more fire.
Yeah, doesn't work.
Fair,
With no choice
honestly.
but to change their approach, the council now had to seriously grapple with the idea that the long decaying morals of the community may have angered a vengeful
Oh,
spirit.
jeez, here we go.
quickly and desperately changing their game plan. They ordered all dancers back to their homes and banned music. Strings were fine, but tambourines and drums, illegal.
Oh,
You
jeez.
said that strings were allowed to keep playing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
strings were fine.
What?
Beautiful, you know?
It just makes things
That's
sad.
so
without music,
random,
You know what I
though.
mean?
Is there any
Why?
royalty-free violin music you have right now that we could try and dance to?
Yeah, here we go.
Does this look ridiculous?
You feeling it?
How do you does it look? How's it look?
You know what? Not working. Really not working.
Speak for yourself.
All right, even still in private homes, the mania continued to spread.
Yep.
At this point, the dancing had been going on for over a month, and while there are conflicting reports about the number of people, most seem to agree that there were at least a couple hundred. Desperate times cause for desperate
Measures.
Yeah.
There it is.
Nice.
Nice.
You know what? I'll give you an extra point for that.
What in the hell is going on here? This is bullshit.
We're on the same wavelength. I
Yeah, yeah,
appreciate
You gotta
that.
award wavelengths, you know.
Fixed.
Oh, come
Give
on,
us
All right.
come on.
The
That would've
magistrates
been
weren't
obvious
about to sit
follow.
on their hands as their town was slaughtered by the jitterbug, so they really...
I'm sorry.
Thank
that
you.
sentence is amazing.
Thank you.
It is pretty good.
So they
That was
really put
pretty
their
good,
heads
yeah.
together and came up with a new plan. First, obviously, make a big 110-pound wax likeness of St. Vitus as a sweet gift to the dude. Sure. Second,
Okay.
line up a bunch of wagons to transport the afflicted wiggling masses to the shrine of St. Vitus about 30 miles outside of
They're
town.
still dancing.
They're still dancing. And
Lovely.
what was their final measure?
Oh, jeez.
A, chain the dancers' feet together.
Maybe.
B, buy the dancers sweet new kicks. Or C, dress a monkey up as St. Vitus and have it kiss the dancers' feet.
Oh God, I wish it was C.
C is ashamed.
I'd go with
Alright,
A
that's
personally.
I got my answer in.
Ryan, what do you got?
I got A.
You're going with A, chain the dancer's feet together.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Jermaine?
Not to piggyback off you, Ryan, but
That's
you've
fair.
been right so far.
You'll probably figure out a way to give you a point anyway.
So you're going with A as well?
I had to. It just sounded like the best option.
Well,
Yeah.
let's find out what happened.
Yep.
All right, everyone. So that's that. We'll make a nice offering to St. Vitus and haul these poor souls off to the shrine.
Oh, and we should give him some little red shoes.
Wait, now hang on a second. What's that you say?
I said we'll give him some little red shoes.
Well, please explain.
Damn it.
New kicks?
Well, they'd be little and red, and they'd be shoes.
All right, well, let's order a bunch of little red shoes then.
So people can't see the blood?
God damn it.
New
How are
kicks?
they
Really?
gonna make that many shoes that quickly?
Right?
How long does it take to make a shoe?
I don't know.
And red ones? Why red? So the blood, you don't see the blood or something?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Once
that's
at the
that
altar
was
of
my
St.
first
Vitus,
thought.
a very strict prescription for the afflicted was carried out. 1, they led the dancers in a circle around the altar. 2, they had each dancer offer up a single penny as a donation. And then they took them back to the chapel and down to the wagons. That was it. Do you think it worked?
Is this a question, by the way?
Do you think it worked?
I guess it did.
Ooh, now I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I got a 50%
I'm not
shot
even
here.
gonna try
1,
because
2, 3.
Yes.
You both think it worked?
Yeah, we're getting towards the end of the story. It's kind of like when it's the third act of a movie
mean,
and your character is back
yes,
off.
but
Well-
it should
It did.
Yay!
like
is.
how?
Happy. That's a happy ending.
That is good.
So one thing to remember, these people believed with great conviction in the power of the supernatural, of divine forces meddling with their souls.
Back
So
then,
it makes sense
yes.
that if they believed strongly enough in a curse, they'd also believe deeply in the power of penance.
And when you think of what they'd done to earn their forgiveness from St. Vitus, a 30-mile journey, sacrificing a whole ass penny, wearing little red shoes, it probably did seem to them like they'd earned their freedom. But there's yet another theory about the miraculous healing that took place.
So our final question,
Okay.
what else may have healed them? A, antibiotics.
Maybe.
B, a traveling hypnotist.
Maybe.
Or C, the power of love.
Oh, I got it.
I'll go with the hypnotist.
I
That
agree
that
with you,
actually
too,
sounds
that I should
interesting.
get double points on that last one because I locked my answer in a little bit sooner.
No.
Oh
What's
damn!
your,
I'm gonna go with C.
you're gonna go with C, the
That's
power
right,
of
the
love.
power of love. That's the power of love.
Oof, rough.
I chose B, but fucking hypnotism. I guess back in the day was a thing.
That
There's a lot of people
hypnotism does,
hypnotized.
does sound
It's
interesting
true.
because it was a
Fuck
thing
yeah,
back in the
Ryan.
day. I think.
Well, it's too late
I'll
now.
choose B.
You choose B.
Which
Yes,
is B.
sir.
We're gonna give the point to Ryan. A history point for Ryan.
You won.
Remember,
I don't think I did because he gave you all those phony points.
we'll find out. We'll tally
The
up the
power
scores
of
at the
love
end.
of God.
Think back to the beginning of this story, the state of the community before the plague took hold, decades of growing class divide, an uncaring and downright abusive clergy, a lower class bearing the
Yep.
brunt of a seemingly endless series of community hardships. And yet, when the plague took hold, the community banded together. Author Jennifer Wright says, quote,
The people of Strasbourg were exceedingly, abnormally kind to those afflicted. They didn't burn them at stakes. They didn't permanently cast them out of the community. Thought and concern went into considering ways to make them healthy again.
isn't that sweet?
Interesting.
Good.
So it's a happy ending.
That's a happy ending
after
yeah.
all.
I guess
sure,
so.
a lot of people died.
Yeah,
But,
a lot.
That's the cost of knowledge.
And that's the
Yeah.
cost of living back then. That was a good
It
story.
really
dude.
was.
I learned a lot.
thank you.
That's good.
Dancing is, who knew it would be so dangerous?
There is consequences.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell my daughter that. Hey, look, sometimes you're gonna want to dance, but here's
Don't
the
you
story.
dare. Don't you
Don't
dare.
you dare!
Was
Don't
it
you
a
do
cautionary
it!
tale
Don't
after
you do
that's
it!
all happened? Like,
Yeah, I think so. That's the thing.
Daddy, I'm so happy I could dance. And he's like,
I
no.
can dance till I die. No, don't you do it!
No daughter of mine. Well, that concludes our history lesson. I'm going to go tally the scores to see who receives the coveted cup and title of History Master.
no
While I
discussion?
do that, please enjoy this special performance from someone who was blamed for this whole thing, along with St. Vitus, God. And just a heads up, God doesn't
God
really
singing?
look like you'd expect him to, so just know that. He's kind of a weird-looking guy. But anyway, enjoy.
All right, let's get this over
No
with.
discussion on what could have
What the
caused. Fuck!
Oh shit.
It's me, God.
No, it's not.
It reminds me of God from South
blood
Park.
bunny
Good
kid.
lord.
I'm God, okay? I've got something to say. Those dummies dancing after death, that wasn't me. No way. I made the stars and moon and sun, and also I made everyone, like Genghis Khan, Celine Dion, all dogs and cats, fruit bats, your mom, and sure, some people
my God.
worship me, but then I did make everything, like Jupiter and Tupperware and Diet Coke and teddy bears. But I didn't make those people dance, so way back when in olden France, I'm not that guy, that's not my scene. You think that I would be so mean? And sure, I killed their crops for years and preyed upon their deepest fears of squalor, plague, of food to eat. But dancing, man, that's not my beat. No, what? I lied. It's all on me. I got those dingbats to their feet. Boy, they could really jitterbug. But when they died, I pulled the plug. So what, people? Who cares? Come on, it's not the worst thing that I've done. Like bedbugs, pink eye, Tampa, Florida, and also the rest of Florida. So yeah, I made those people dance way back when in olden France. I'm sorry, I know it was rude. I guess I'm just a zany dude.
Wow.
That was disturbing, Ryan.
Wow, God
Little
is
bit.
a masterful lyricist. What a strong performer.
Yeah, man. God made Lauryn Hill. So
Unbelievable.
You really got to stop complimenting yourself at the
Huh?
end of these through the
That,
veil
was,
of a
that
puppet.
wasn't me. That was God. So,
It's
believe it or not,
face.
this is wild. You guys aren't going to believe this.
Tie?
It is a tie.
Really? Oh wow, this is historic.
Oh,
You know
shit.
what?
I'm going to do a tiebreaker. Here we go.
Oh,
If you joined a dancing plague, what would your dance move be?
Oh, so
It's a dance-off,
it's
folks.
a dance off.
oh.
I'm gonna go with a classic because I think it uses a lot of space. So I would go.
Please don't fuss.
I don't like that one bit.
You don't like it?
No.
It's the
Jermaine's
face.
already got a bit of an edge going into this one because that was pretty sorry.
I guess I'll just go with whatever I'm feeling. So, I just, and then I
Interesting.
spin,
Oh,
and
shit.
then thing like this, and then,
Ryan, you done.
I'll hand him the trophy.
All right, yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Why there? Oh. Well, there you go.
Congratulations,
Good
Jermaine.
sport, Ryan. Good sport.
Gelatine's in it as well. Look
You
at
are the history master.
that. Thank
Nice.
you very
I'm
much.
gonna take a jelly.
Thank you, McNasty.
Thank you to our special guest, Jermaine Fowler. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Puppet History.
Bon voyage.
Didn't make those people dance way back when in olden France. Not that guy, not my scene.
Oh man, seriously, if anything, Shane knows how to make something entertaining. Whether it's the effects, whether it's the voices and the show, the music. Shane is definitely an entertainer at heart, and I think Ryan is a little bit to an extent as well. Wow. That was yeah, that was very interesting. I'm a little bit surprised that there wasn't really any kind of discussion afterwards of, what modern scientists think could have caused it necessarily, or like some of the information about that particular town or that time period or kind of what happened. I'm surprised there wasn't any kind of discussion of that, but I've already mentioned, either some kind of, fungus that was sort of unearthed and it, as soon as a fungus spreads its spores, they can go pretty far, and they are resilient little bastards. The little spores. They're designed to be very resilient to all kinds of weather, or some kind of strange mass hysteria caused by the anxiety attributed to what had been going on with the clergy, with the Black Plague, the Black Death. I mean, but all that jazz. I also do find it funny that it took Ryan way too long to realize that, he kind of predicted what it was gonna be about. I'm so glad I backed up to that little place. So yeah, all around, a very interesting episode. I still don't remember what kind of microorganism Toxoplasmodium is. It's gonna it's I don't know why, it's not a bacteria, virus, it's not a fungus. I'm trying to think of other microorganism names, but yes. My point still stands, because the information I said about it is the stuff that matters, not necessarily what kind of organism it is. Very interesting. I think I provided a lot more commentary on this than I normally do, so good on me. Good on me. So, I will go ahead, I will end it there. Thank you to the patron who requested this. I hope you enjoyed this reaction and commentary. And, as usual, until the next video, guys, check you laters.